Hello, and welcome to this little learning moments session, Make Time Work for You. I'm Dr. Susan Riegler, and I study and share and consult about how we experience time to improve and support our well-being. This is a brief, interactive, and fun introduction to time and temporal awareness and how that can help you to conquer time challenges in your life. Do you ever wonder about time? Do you find managing your time to be a challenge? If you aim to improve your own time management and/or learn more about the topic in order to help those who have trouble managing, this session is for you. You may be a working adult, a student, a healthcare practitioner, someone who struggles with ADHD, a recent retiree, or a home-based care provider. You may know a little bit about time or a lot. Everyone's welcome here. I hope that this short session will provide you with some new ideas. I'll share a bit about time, how we experience it, and how you can apply those concepts to improve your life. My goal is to give you a taste of ideas, and I'll share some additional resources at the end of the session. First, we will focus on time as it relates to us and our lived experience. Then we'll broaden to the connections between time, life, work, culture, and change. We'll apply this learning to life as we go along with pauses for reflection. Like the grasses in the water here, we will sway back and forth between our personal experience and the knowledge in the field. Throughout this session, I will pose questions to wonder about. I'll alert you to click to stop and reflect, and then click again to continue. If you would like, please have a way to capture your reflections as we move through the slides so that you can have that for the future. Or you can just listen and return later. You can complete this session at your own pace and timing. It can be broken up into chunks of 20 minutes or 10-minute increments. In total, the session lasts around 30 minutes if you pause here and there to reflect. So let's get started. What time is it right now? Say it out loud. How did you find that out? When I'm with groups of people in person or on Zoom, these are some common responses that I hear. I looked at the sky, my watch, my phone. I asked somebody in the room. I looked for the nearest clock. Or I just don't care. I'm living in the now. Your preference for how you mark time is part of what we call your time personality. Everyone has a unique personality, but there may be some shared elements with others as well. Understanding such preferences can really help us to enjoy our work and our life. Now I'd like you to pause and take a minute to answer this question. How are you feeling about time and your time right now? Is your sense of time fixed or does it expand and contract? Is it your friend or your foe? Click to stop, and then when you're finished, click to move ahead. The two exercises that we just did pertain to two different but related concepts, time and temporality. First, time. It's a big topic. Think about time for a moment. Is it a scientific fact independent of our existence, or is time something that we have created by mutual agreement? It's both. The Earth does revolve around the sun, creating years, and the Earth does rotate on its axis, creating days. But months, weeks, hours, humans created those concepts. In short, time is a phenomenon. It's something you experience. You may check the time, mark down a date in your calendar in a concrete way. That's managing the practical aspects of time. In contrast, we have the idea of temporality. That refers to the relationships we have with the phenomenon of time. Like that question I posed to you of how you feel about time in any given moment. Temporality focuses on our feelings. If you want to change how you experience and manage your time, first become aware of how you were thinking about it and feeling about it. Awareness is the beginning of everything. Let's take a moment to focus on the concept of time. There are many aspects to time, lots of words to describe it across our world. Each of us possesses our internal individual expectations based on biology and culture. Our time personality then overlaps with others. External stimuli influence us too, and then culture pops up. To maintain reference points in a pretty chaotic world, we rely on time norms, constructs like the weekend and workdays. But those norms differ across cultures. For example, the definition of being early or being late differs from one culture to another. As we move from our internal identity to the external world, culture can sway our experiences. Have you ever come across the story of the three people describing an elephant like the one here? One person focused on the ears, the other on the trunk, and the third on the feet. All three described the elephant, but in different ways. That's just like time. We each perceive time differently. It's really important to remember that. Now I want to focus on change and time. Our world does impact us. Do you work and/or study in person, remotely, hybrid? If you're working in the home, do you talk with all of your family members in person, FaceTime, or a mix? Take a moment and ask yourself, how has my experience of time changed in the recent past? Is time gentle or is it more like a hammer? You can pause right now and jot down some ideas and then click to move ahead. What sorts of things have changed for you? Folks have shared a range of responses. Here are some of the most common examples that my clients and patients report. I'm rushed now that we're post-pandemic. Smartphone, smartwatch, I can never get away from them. During the pandemic, I learned to walk outside and take a break, but now I can't. Everything is so uncertain, I just don't focus. Most center on a feeling of time scarcity. Like my Aunt Carol, who had a bumper sticker that read, "Always out of time," or a recent license tag I came across, "Late already." Time boundaries are blurry everywhere, it seems. My research found that despite this sort of complexity and all the change that we experience, understanding the relationships that we have with time, like our time preferences, and understanding those of others can build our own personal resiliency. That's what we call temporal awareness. As I said, each of us is unique and we experience time differently. Each of us has preferences for the pace at which we work, the time of day we do our best work, and other aspects of our time personalities. It's important to attend to time as a resource, but also to keep in mind the relationships we have with it. Understanding that each of us may perceive time differently can help us to succeed in life. Awareness fosters resiliency. In short, temporal awareness is beneficial. Now that we've learned a few terms, let's take a moment for a quick quiz. Here's the question. Temporal awareness is one of the following. A, knowing what time it is every second of the day and night, or B, the capacity to identify one's feelings about time and relationships with it, or C, a great new game show on TV. If you chose B, the capacity to identify your feelings and relationships with time, you're right. Great job on the quiz. If you're curious about time and temporal awareness, you can learn more about concepts like pace, direction, time horizon, and time satisfaction. These are all aspects of time and temporal awareness. I'll share more resources at the end of the session. But now let's take a moment to reflect on your preferences, which make up your time personality. Here's a fun exercise to try. Our awareness of time is centered in part in biology. Circadian rhythms help with that. You may have heard of them. Circadian rhythms are our internal biological clocks based on our reaction to light. We each have preferences, early in the day versus late in the evening. That's the most universal combination. I want you to take a moment to ponder the following questions. When are you best able to pay attention? When do you feel the most energetic? Early in the day, later in the day? Are you a morning bird or an evening bird? Do you chirp or do you hoot? It's all about when you can pay the most attention to a task. I want you to click to pause and then click to continue when you're ready. Knowing about your time preferences can be very helpful. Did you turn out to be a morning bird, an evening bird, a combination? Think about yourself and then think about others in your life. This knowledge can help you to decide when it's best to work with others, and it can make that work easier. For instance, if you're a morning bird and your employee is an evening bird, you may draft an email to send in the morning, but include a note that you appreciate feedback later in the day. That means you've moved your question along with your employee, but you've also alerted that person to not stress about a response in the morning. This action is a great example of temporal awareness. So first, when it comes to time, it's key to be aware of yourself, then others. For instance, work happens all the time and everywhere across time zones in our world. Time impacts the pace at which we work, deadlines, and outcomes. We bring ourselves, our culture, our history to work, so we bring our time personalities to work. The ways in which we engage in the world impact our experience of time. Temporality is how we relate to time. Awareness of temporality can help us to manage that time and help us to enjoy it. It helps us to move in the direction that we want to travel. But what holds us back? Now I want to shift our attention and explore some barriers that prevent us from flourishing our time. Time is a limited resource that impacts our experience at work or in life. It influences how we interact with other people. At work, for instance, on projects or in teams, as leaders or coaching others, or providing care to those who struggle with time. What prevents you from feeling successful with your time? I want you to click, pause, take a moment, and jot down 3 things that stop you from flourishing your time. Then you can click to continue. Were you able to list an idea or two about barriers you face when managing time? Like you, my research participants have shared lots of barriers with me. I want to dig into those a little bit and then offer ideas about how to overcome them. I'm going to share one slide about the challenges faced and then effective responses to those challenges. So first, we start with complexity of context mentioned earlier. We're living in a very busy and uncertain time. Time is a limited resource, and time constraints curtail our ability to manage, which generates stress. For instance, a family farmer today faces issues ranging from weather to technology to pricing. Time is always an issue that can make life and work very challenging given uncertainty, change, and complexity. Secondly, how do we cope with all that complexity? That really matters. The systems that we live in, our age, style differences, all influence our understanding of time and change and how to cope with it. Like Lucy and Ethel working in the chocolate factory, keeping up can be super hard. Yet these 2 characters manage their time constraints with creativity and humor. My research found that ways of coping can help to overcome barriers. So, given that complex context, varied ways of coping matter. What helps? My research showed that those who succeed with time challenges find ways to manage a feeling of a lack of time by doing 2 simple things. First, connecting with others and closely listening about time issues was very productive. Exploring those blurry time boundaries really helped. And secondly, self-reflecting, speaking up, and particularly making agreements about time was most helpful, especially with project work. And checking in often on those agreements led to even more satisfaction. These findings are applicable to life as well. I found one other interesting approach that was very helpful in overcoming time barriers that I want to highlight for you next. I also found that heroes help. My research participants light up when they share stories about someone who mentored them or offered good advice about time. And participants often share that they really want a partner to help them with time. Anything we have learned from others about how they handle time, from simple tips to broad life lessons, makes a difference. How about you? I want you to take just a moment or two to reflect and jot down a story about someone who's inspired you and influenced your approach to time. Click to pause and then click to continue. How did it feel for you to call upon a recent or distant memory about someone who helped you with time? Now identify a few things from your story. You can use those to build your personal time partner and mentor, or what we call Tempest, my time hero, for short. The idea here is that you can take Tempest with you, and you can share Tempest with others too. My research also showed that when you buddy up with a friend or colleague and share ideas about time awareness, time management, everything's a little bit easier and more effective. For instance, co-working, if you're self-employed, can allow for exchanging ideas with others. One person shared that just having someone stop by when she's working on a project really helps. Sharing duties with others, if leading child or elder care, can also change one's perception of time. So to wrap up, we've touched on time, our feelings about and relationships with time. That's time and temporal awareness, the capacity to identify your relationships with time. We've touched on your past and current experiences and the impact of culture. We've explored your time preferences a bit. That's your time personality. And by telling your story about who's influenced you, you have a few ideas that you can refer to and also share with others. You can take Tempest, your time hero, with you every day. I hope that this brief introduction has been helpful to you. As we learned today, there are different ways of relating to time, and I invite you to consider how it structures your life and think beyond those rigid constructs and the conceptual history of timekeeping and time management. Remember that time management is a worthy practice, but time and temporal awareness underpins the management and really contributes to your well-being. Here are a few highlighted articles about time topics. Time is often in the news. And here are a few books related to time perception and focus and more. Speaking of books, if you would like to learn more, here is a link to my most recent book. It explains in simple terms how time and perception intersect and includes success stories, tools, and a gentle journal approach to enhance your awareness of time and manage better at work and in life. Based on my academic research that we touched on a bit today into how we experience time, this book is geared towards those in the workplace, students who want to succeed, or those recently retired, evolving into the next wonderful phase of life, as well as healthcare professionals caring for patients and clients who are challenged with time issues. The book includes more questions to consider and spots to journal, like the exercises included in this short session today. You'll find many interesting examples of cultural time and some related exercises in my book too. You can find the book on Amazon. You can click on a link that is included in the overview section of this YouTube channel to get to Amazon, or you can cut and paste the link from this video. Here's a bit more about me. Please reach out to me if you would like to book an individual group session for you, your organization, your team, or a loved one. I'm always happy to help. In closing, thanks to temporal awareness, it is possible to go beyond the clock and thrive despite the challenges of time. I hope that today's session helps you to flourish your time, and thank you for attending.